Welcome to Behind the Curtain, Nashville's movers, shakers,
and tastemakers.
Brought to you by Cord Real Estate, your key to the heart of Nashville. I'm Steve Luther alongside my co-host Van Hoy.
Here we peel back the layers of Nashville's vibrant scene, sitting down with the innovators, creators, and leaders who shape our city. From music to business and everything in between, we dive into the journeys that have brought them to where they are today.
We're here to uncover the stories behind the success, the passion driving their pursuits, and why they've chosen Nashville as their stage. It's about the people who dream big, push boundaries, and make this city truly unique.
So join us as we explore the heart and soul of Nashville through the eyes of those who know it best.
Well, today we're here with Christopher Clemens, a seasoned project manager with over 16 years of experience in service operations management and a passionate participant in the adrenaline-pumping Cannonball Run.
What?
With a Six Sigma Black Belt certification and a knack for driving operational improvements, Christopher has not only enhanced customer satisfaction and revenue growth across various industries, but also showcased his creativity and adventurous spirit in organizing high-octane events. Whether he's streamlining business processes or racing across the country, Christopher embodies a blend of precision and thrill, making him a standout leader and innovator. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. What does a seasoned project manager do?
A whole lot of things.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. You know, Nashville's movers, shakers, and tastemakers.
We need longer answers.
Longer.
So that was actually a joke, just kind of poking fun at the big four.
Yeah.
A lot of things, but say nothing. So what I will do is come in and fix problems. And what does that mean? I'll give an example. I had a client that had an issue with their employees stealing. So they had to fire all of their management.
Oh, wow.
And they brought me in to fix relationships with. It was a union shop, so the union guys, the vendors, customers, and in the middle of that, we had a tornado rip through a hospital, so that was a slight sidebar. Had to get people out of the ICU, people stationary where they could be, power to the building, pump water out of the basement. So little things here and there.
It's like crisis management for PSYOPs. Yeah. Why not?
Now, Van.
Yeah.
I don't know if you realize that Six Sigma Black Belt is not karate.
I actually thought that's what it was.
It's a cooking style.
Okay, I'm confused.
What's
happening here? What's happening here? I thought we were going to talk about my son because he's going for his black belt in 2 weeks.
So y'all are trying to force me into just using corporate buzzwords, aren't you?
Oh. Buzz away, Pete.
So I've always had a passion for organization and to my detriment sometimes. And when Six Sigma started to become popular, I happened to have a customer who was right near an institute that taught it. And I thought, because I'm such a cool guy,
yeah,
that sounds like fun. I'm going to go to school and do this. And you can start lower, but why not go for the black belt? So I did that 14 years ago. And it just gives you formulas on processes, really. I shouldn't say this, but it's kind of common sense, at least to me, the way my brain works.
Right.
But it helps having that piece of paper that says, hey,
you say
it's stuff.
Common sense, but I'm so confused. What are we talking about right now? I have no idea. There's your clip.
See? And that is what a consultant does. They say an awful lot of things and nothing at the same time.
Oh, man. I'm so lost.
It's like a certification. It's like
for what?
Like project management and stuff, right?
Oh, it is?
Yeah. It really is just giving you the processes and formulas to organize a company.
Gotcha.
Sounds really simple, doesn't it? Because it is.
You know, I'm just here to be a blessing.
Can you deal with that?
Yeah.
So that's a far cry from how you started out. So let's go back.
What does this have to do with going on the Cannonball Run? What is happening?
A lot.
So how did you start out?
So I started out as a auto mechanic.
Okay.
I did not have any real want to go to college until I did. And then I ended up working for a IHRA Pro Mod team, racing cars. So college kind of went out the window.
What kind of racing?
Drag racing.
Drag racing. It's exciting.
So I eventually picked up road racing. I had wanted a M3. And while I was looking for an E30 M3, I had a friend of mine call me up and say, "Hey, I'm clearing out a house. There's this old BMW in the garage. Do you want it?" And I said, "Well, what is it and how much?" And he's like, "I don't know, but it's free." And I said, "I'm there."
Yeah.
So he charged me $30 for the gas to bring it to his shop. And I get there, and the car is a 81 BMW 320. Looked terrible. It had been brought from California back to Massachusetts.
81. That's before they changed the body style,
It
right?
was right after the 2002.
Yeah.
And then like very, very boxy.
Yes.
And then the E30 came out.
Okay.
A little bit more rounded.
Yeah.
I mean, the Germans don't move quickly on design.
Don't you love it?
Look at the 911.
Yes. I'm so thankful for that.
For all the people watching, I love Porsches. So,
absolutely. How could you not?
But I got the car, and like it was covered in mold.
Sure.
On the inside and outside. And I was like, I don't know, this is a good idea. So it needed a radiator and a battery. Didn't have one. So I went to the junkyard and I got them. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on this car, and put it in and went to fire it up, and I got it to start up fairly easily on God knows how old gas. So I was like, okay, I'm going to keep this thing. So I decide, well, I don't really know a lot about these cars, and I found a thing where you could send away to BMW and get all the information on the car. I don't think they do this anymore. And I found out that the car was brought into the country. I'm originally from New Jersey, South Jersey.
Yeah.
It's like Joe Piscopo.
I'm actually working on getting a BMW from New Jersey right now. Yeah.
I'm from New Jersey. Are you from New Jersey?
Oh,
I'm from New Jersey.
That's why I said South Jersey.
That's it. It's very different.
So the car was put in storage in the town that I was born in.
No way.
And went all the way out to California, came back to Massachusetts to meet me, and it was also built the day I was born.
Wow. There you go. Kismet.
It's like, well, this car is mine. So I rebuilt the car and decided to go racing. So I started doing pretty okay with that. Picked up some rides, and I needed time to race because racing is way more important than working, right?
I love it.
So I kept working on cars, and that gave me my weekends until it didn't. So I did it half and half. I was a service writer some days, I was a mechanic the next. And I got involved in a small little crash up in Vermont, doing rallycross, and shattered my sternum, 4 broken ribs.
That doesn't sound like a small little crash to me.
Small crash. Now, the worst part about that is I had told my wife that racing is perfectly safe. I'm sorry, she was not my wife at the time. She was my girlfriend. And she did not like the idea that I raced cars.
Okay.
So I had to keep up a little white lie
Hmm.
and not let her know how bad the injuries were.
So she didn't know you were in an accident.
She knew that we had a small mishap.
Okay. Mishap.
So I let that go until the next day I went up to go to work, and that was the day I was working on cars and stretched, felt a pop in my chest.
Oh.
Turns out that was a rib breaking and hitting my lungs.
Wow.
So couldn't tell my girlfriend that. Definitely not.
Right.
So that kind of killed my professional racing career. I had always had the bug still afterwards. I never was able to pick up a ride after that. So that's where Cannonball came from.
Now, we first talked. He asked, "Oh, are you wanting to talk about Cannonball Run?" And I'm like, "Were you in the movie? Like, what does that mean?"
Me and Tom DeLuise go way back.
For real.
I just thought it was the movie. You know, I
Right.
I had no
You didn't
idea
know it was a real thing.
there's an actual Cannonball.
There is an actual Cannonball Run.
How did you get involved with that?
So there was turmoil going on in my life, and it seems to be a starting point for doing something crazy, right? So I take all that and I said, you know what? I remember it's the most hated Cannonball movie, Speed Zone, the third one.
Okay.
And it starts off with a boy and his grandfather, and they're skipping rocks across a pond. And all of a sudden, like, you see a red Lamborghini Countach in a police chase. And
like you do.
As you do. So in the movie, because this clearly can't happen in real life unless anyone wants to try it and prove me wrong. But they went across the pond and skimmed the Lamborghini across the pond, as you do in 80s movies.
Of course.
And I remember watching that as a kid and thinking it was the coolest thing in the world to drive across the country. And you know, you're doing it all on your own. You know what you're doing is wrong. It's breaking the law, but it is fun.
That's amazing.
So,
are you saying you broke the speed limit?
Of course not.
Oh, okay.
For all of our police officer clients and friends watching,
we have some.
We do not endorse
No,
breaking the law.
Nor are we financial advisors.
Well, that is definitely a thing. A lot of people look at the Cannonball and they think, well, what do you do it for?
Right.
Like, is there a prize? No. Well, isn't it expensive to do? I have $80,000 into my car building it to do a run. So we live in an age where you can pay somebody to bring you to the top of Mount Everest.
True.
So this is something that you can't buy. You just have to go out there and do it.
Right.
And don't get caught.
Don't get caught.
Now you said you'd done like I don't know what the appropriate term was, but you've done like multiple trips like at once, back and forth.
Yeah. I have a bit of a thing where I don't like being told what to do.
Wow, you're in good company here.
So during COVID, when they told all of us to stay home, I looked at that and I was like, no.
It was your invitation to go.
And me being the type of person who likes to take things to extremes, I said, I'm going to do a run. And not only am I going to do a run, but I'm going to do it both ways.
Oh, wow.
So we went from New York to Los Angeles and back in 74 hours and 5 minutes.
What is the average speed for that? Because I can't compute that.
Don't admit.
The average statute of limitations is long past.
Okay.
The average speed, I think, worked out to 78, 79 miles an hour.
Oh. So do you like wear a catheter?
How
does one do that?
It doesn't come out if you don't put it in.
Oh,
So you fast
okay.
and you don't drink.
Okay. That would be so rough. See, my wife and I, we did the Mercedes Benz drive across America, Route 66, and it was quite enjoyable. And there was plenty of eating
You
and
probably didn't
drinking.
do that in a day and a half, though.
No, we would drive for 4 hours. That's about my max, is about 4 hours in a day. And then there's, the dining and shopping and all the other things that one does when tootling it across America. But yeah, a little different here, huh?
There are no funnels and bottles and
No. There are no funnels or bottles. No.
Some people do that. I would rather fast.
Yeah.
I do know somebody who wore a catheter.
Wow. That's blows my mind.
But they didn't have much of a choice because they did it in a 3-wheel Morgan.
You're kidding.
No.
So what are you driving?
A Mercedes SL 500.
Yes, he's my man. I love that.
So the car was my uncle's.
Okay.
He had unexpectedly passed away.
What year?
99.
I'm sorry about your uncle.
99.
99. Color?
Gold.
Gold. Interior?
Beige, cream.
So that means they didn't notice you because
Correct.
you're driving through in a gold Mercedes. Right. They're not going to notice.
Yeah. When you pass somebody at 160 miles an hour
and it's gold and beige, they're like, it's fine. Yeah, it's true. It's true. But if it was red, whoa, he'd be stopped. Wow.
How do you even find out about this? Like, it's got to be, like, I imagine this is like a rave. Like, you don't know until it's happening. It's like, you got to be on the list.
To do an actual event, that is correct.
Is it like Fight Club where, no one talks about Fight Club?
We talk amongst ourselves
a lot. Okay.
But to get to an event, obviously, we have a perfect safety record doing this.
Wow.
It started in 1971, and we have never had an accident.
Thank God.
Now, the whole point of this was to
prove
that you could drive across the country not obeying any speed limits safely. So
that was the point.
That was the point.
That was the whole idea. Is to
the original Cannonball.
Everywhere should be Montana, basically.
Right.
Gotcha.
So we do not want any kind of mishap to happen.
Of course. Well, that would be sadistic.
Like, there's that.
I mean, we've only just met, but
there's the bus full of nuns theory.
Right.
So if you are going down the road, something has gone wrong, and you have two choices. You hit a tree and die.
Okay.
You run into that bus full of nuns.
Oh.
Your thought should be, you go to that tree.
Yeah.
This should only be affecting you. You should not be bothering other people on the road.
Yeah, what did the nuns do to you? I'm just saying, why did it have to be nuns? Couldn't it have been a box of puppies or something,
Now, is this like the movie at all where you've got like all
I want
these
anything
people?
to happen to puppies. We love puppies.
No.
Yes,
nothing needs to happen to puppies.
Oh, God.
But is this like the movie where you have like all these people doing it at once, and it's like who's going to finish first?
So there are events that happen throughout the year.
It's still happening now.
It's still happening.
Like now, even now.
Yep.
I had no idea.
So some of the events are silly. Like we had the musket ball a couple of years ago where you could run anything you wanted as long as it was under 100 horsepower.
Okay.
Because they wanted to keep the speeds down and have a little fun with it. Because, we are a bunch of fun-loving idiots.
Right. Can people know about the end, like the finish line, and not participate? Or do you have to be a participant to know?
There are only 2 starting points and 1 finish line.
And I mean, can there be an event? Like I can imagine, like if you wanted to create an event around the finish line, like people would show up.
They would. but you wouldn't want to do that because what we are doing is
Oh,
legal.
yeah. I didn't think about that part.
Now,
I was going to
I'm
say,
like,
I could sell
yeah,
tickets
like
to this. We
the
could have some
cops would
fun.
show up, man. What are you talking about?
now, see, you bring that up, and I
Man.
have to throw this out there. There are police who do this.
Oh,
There is
Oh.
also a charitable
Inside.
organization called the Cannonball Memorial Funds, and they raise money for the families of fallen police officers.
Oh, wow.
So what they will do is they will do a slow drive across the country. Most of the guys are based in California, so they'll do the backwards route
Right.
and do it like you would do a marathon. So every mile they drive, people donate money to it.
Gotcha.
And they operate like Aflac kind of thing, where somebody has an issue.
I mean, I thought we were talking karate. Now we're talking Aflac. I'm like, what's happening?
So it's a police officer falls in the line of duty.
Right.
They will just cut a check immediately.
Oh, wow.
So there's no waiting. They get what they need.
Incredible.
Which,
as it should be. As it should be.
how long has this been going on? Like, did the movie start this, or was the movie based on this already happening?
The movie was based on this already happening. There was talks of doing this movie, and somebody beat them to the punch. That's the Gumball Rally. And when this movie came out, some of the things that happened on the 1979 run, like the ambulance. That actually happened. That was the director, Brock, and somebody else, I forget who had gone across the country. And that police stop in New Jersey, that really happened.
Mm.
They said they had the senator's wife in the back of the ambulance, and there was a senior New Jersey state trooper and a training New Jersey state trooper. And when they pulled him over, they heard the story that the senator's wife's there and they're bringing her to UCLA in California. And they said, well, she can't fly because, she has cysts in her lungs. And the rookie said, he's lying. There's no way this is true. And the senior trooper says, yeah, but what if he isn't? Then there's no internet in 1979. So they can't check it. They can't call the senator at 2 a.m. So they ended up letting him go, and they realized they were had when the movie came out.
Wow. Wow.
Now, do any of the people that were involved in the movie, were they ever involved with the actual?
The director was, but to the best of my knowledge, that's it.
This is blowing my mind.
I know. I had no idea. Wow. This is like a real thing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
How does, if someone really wanted to do this, do you end up in the right circles because you're kind of involved with racing, or?
That's a part of it. My story.
Fight Club, Steve. Stop.
My story sounds an awful lot like a lot of people, but some people get in this way, some people don't. And I knew I was going to do a run, so I started prepping the car. I had talked to some of the record holders who brought me into a Facebook group, and I just started talking to people, and I said, well, I'm in a private group, so I'll post pictures of my car as I'm building it. And
some Mark Zuckerberg's out there on the run. He's one of them.
I call it dumb luck because I've seen people do the exact same thing that I did, and they never get the time of day. But I did.
Right.
Not sure why. And nobody remembers. So eventually I got to know some of the people, and I leveraged that to get my co-driver, because the two problems with Cannonball: fuel and co-drivers. Because everybody's gung-ho to do it until they realize that you're going to be sitting in a car for 20, 30 hours.
Right.
And there's no sleep. There's no fun. By the time you get halfway across the country, you're like, what am I doing here.
What's that like?
It's the most amazing and awful thing you will ever do.
Because you're still driving through like reality towns.
Yep.
And that don't know you're doing this.
Right.
Like we had flags, waving on our Mercedes. Like they came out, the police like brought us through the town.
Were you actually with the Pope?
Yeah. Well, that's another side of my life.
Are there like celebrities or like uber wealthy people that are involved with this? Is it like
there's people who have money, there are people who don't have any and scrape everything together to do this. It doesn't really matter. It's in the community, it's like the Masons, where once you have done it and you're in, you're just on the same level. Like it doesn't matter to me if you were Doug and Arnie, who did it in 25 hours and 39 minutes across the country, or if you're a guy who just did it in a Miata in like 52 hours. You got in a car on one coast and drove as fast as you possibly could to the other coast.
Incredible.
How do you think?
I didn't see all this in your notes that you gave me earlier today. Like, wow. I thought we were talking karate today. Project management.
How do you think all this impacted your the business side of what you do? Having to deal with strategy and endurance and all those kinds of things. Like, do you feel like that impacted what you do in business?
I foolishly held this back from a lot of people because the corporate world doesn't want to hear about racing, period, let alone Cannonball. And I talked to a friend of mine, Alex Roy, and I said, he does the same thing that I do. And I said, how did you make this not be an albatross around your neck? I lost a contract because I did this and because Road and Track wrote an article about it.
Really? They held it against you?
Yeah.
That you're involved in nefarious, illegal affairs. I mean, it's shocking. Did you lose a government contract or something?
So I asked him that question, and he said to me, it's only an albatross around your neck because you're making it.
Ah.
And I said, well, what do you do? And he said, well, here's what I say, and you can use this, but it's not going to work for everybody. And I said, what's that? And he said, when I go in to a prospective client, I say to them, I am so confident in my project management skills that I'm willing to risk my life to prove it. Mm-hmm. And that usually gives them pause or throw you out. And cannonballing is a project. You have to choose your car setup. You have to choose your departure time. You have to choose your routes. You have to outfit the car with countermeasures. It's not just getting in a car and going fast.
Right.
You're planning your fuel stops. You're planning your bathroom breaks because you will have to go at least once, usually in Pennsylvania.
Well, there you go. Pennsylvania, America's potty.
Now, are there like spotters and that kind of stuff? People that are looking for police up ahead?
Yeah. So police are not generally the biggest issue you run into. Once you leave the coast, there's really not a lot there.
Is it like deer and wildlife?
That is the thing that I'm most afraid of.
Oh.
Like all of my cars have a FLIR so that I can see everything. It's off of a Humvee.
What did you just say?
It's a
flare?
FLIR, infrared camera.
Oh, I thought you had flares coming out of the car. I'm like, wow, he's got flares shooting out of his car. Deer running. Small
like
children
Roman candles shooting out of
it.
Get off the road.
FLIR, all that.
Yeah. Sounds like an Adam Sandler movie, right? You got the flare, the deer's like following you.
So we have, most of us will run a FLIR in the car because I can see 2 miles ahead no matter what.
Wow. I need that for the peninsula where I live. There's deer everywhere.
Once you've had a car that has that,
yeah,
you'll never go back because like I can see them way off before they're even close to the
really. Can we get those in a regular car?
Oh yeah, like
Hmm.
a lot of new cars come with them.
Well, apparently my car isn't new.
I had an incident on a run in Iowa where I saw a like 4 or 6 deer. I couldn't tell the speed I was going, and they ran up, and I ended up going through the crowd.
Mm.
Part of that was skill. Part of that was an awful lot of luck.
Wow. Did you end up in a cornfield?
Nope. Scared the hell out of my co-driver who was asleep though.
Wow. Wow.
Who decides like who is gonna get to be in this? Like, is there like this committee somewhere?
You really
Is-
want to know?
Is
don't
this
you?
the Illuminati?
You
Is
don't-
this the Illuminati?
If you have to ask, you don't get to know. You don't get
There's
to ask.
there's no grand wizard or anything like that that has to do with Cannonball. There are people that people will reach out to, usually record holders.
Hmm.
But they're busy people, and it turns into, after you've done it, you're kind of like, okay, I'm done. I did what I needed to do. I feel better now.
Right.
So some of those people, the guys who did it a long time ago, they will help as much as they can, but they've moved on. Those of us who have done it more recently, we could all be reached out to without issue. That's for events. Now, if you want to go out there and do it yourself, it's a public road.
Right.
You can't stop people. Now, the other end of it is, when I did my first run, I got to the end and I get out of the car and I get a call from my friend Ben Wilson, and he says to me,
He's naming names.
I know.
I heard Ben
That's
Wilson.
the second one.
and he says to me, around 550 people have orbited this planet. Around 200 have done what you just did.
Incredible.
It's a very, very rare thing, because there are people who will get in the car and they get to Ohio and they're like, what am I doing? And they quit. It's hard.
Kills me to drive much farther than Spring Hill.
Like, people will think, I mean, I've done 120 miles an hour before on the roads. Like, that's no big deal. Try doing it for 20, 30 hours.
There's no way.
And you have to maintain that concentration
Right.
the whole way across, because animals. It's not just deer on the East Coast. Like, I'm deathly afraid of armadillos in the desert, because that'll pop a rim. And
So will a shallow pothole.
Yep.
Well, depending on what kind of tires you've got.
I blew 2 tires in a pothole recently
In
with
Nashville,
Steve
you
in the
don't
car.
say.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I
doesn't
know.
make any sense to me.
Literally, it was like this deep, about this wide. It's like,
It happens. You know.
does that even qualify as a pothole? Man?
Hey, it was an indention in the road.
Don't feel bad. I hit one of those at 170 once, and the steering wheel was like this for a little while.
I think I was going 35. My low profile tires were no match.
Now, somehow you've managed to take your experience with Cannonball and racing,
right,
and your project management stuff. Talk to us about what you're doing now.
So what I'm doing now is I work with an organization currently called Omni Family Foundation, and we are rebranding to I Am Next. And our goal is to be a bit of a disruptor in the foster care industry. Too many kids, when they age out of foster care, they just essentially have a noose around their neck, where if they make any mistake, they're out, they have no help. If they're lucky, they got with a great foster family who will help them move forward, but a lot of them don't. And that is our goal, to kind of bridge that gap. A lot of the programs will just stuff them into a group home, and that just becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. So
what ages are we talking about?
18 to 24-ish. If they need us longer than that, we will be there for them. The goal is to have these kids become self-sufficient. And I realize I'm saying kids to somebody who's over 18, but like, I look at myself as an example. The stories I've just told here. Look how much of an idiot I was.
I love it. I love it.
And I had a good start.
Right.
How do you start off and get to something better when you don't have a good start?
And you don't necessarily have people who believe in you, or you don't think you do, at least.
No.
Yeah.
And a lot of these kids, they have those self-esteem issues.
Sure.
Because they've been in the system.
Right.
And the group that I'm with, we are kind of punk rock in that, where you know, we will work with the system, but we want to be outside of that system.
What are your goals for that organization? Where do you want to take it?
Nationally? I shouldn't say that.
From coast to coast, just like the Cannonball.
That's right.
Kids all across this country need this kind of help, and there's not a lot of organization. There is an organization in San Diego that we are using to give us a baseline, but people in California, people in Tennessee are two different people, even with the influx of Californians here. So,
and we love our Californians coming to Nashville.
You guys are going to get me in trouble.
He is the chief troublemaker here. I'm just saying.
With me here, though?
Well, you know. He brought in a contender.
So if someone's interested in finding out more about that organization, getting involved, what's the best way to go about doing that?
Right now, reach out to me on LinkedIn. The rebranding will be happening in the next month, so the people who are watching this get a free sneak preview.
Yeah, well, maybe by then it'll already have happened. Actually,
this will be a couple months away, so it'll probably have happened.
It'll have happened.
So it'll be I Am Next.
Yes. Well, in that case, I will say the best way to find us is to reach out to us with iamnext.org.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Hopefully this comes out.
It will. It will. It will.
And we'll put a link in here too as well.
That's right.
So
people can. What are ways people can get involved with the organization that helping the foster kids as they age through the system, out of the system, getting their next opportunities that you guys help facilitate?
So there's a few ways. Obviously, we are a 501c3, so money helps.
Right.
Other ways is volunteers who will help us. We do a few different programs. We have a housing program, a jobs program, and a driving program.
Of course.
Naturally. Hello.
They don't want me teaching the driving program.
They keep you out of that side. I get that. I get that.
So, being able to shuttle the kids around if they're not near mass transit. Now, one of the things that we're doing that we just did last week was we moved about 30 kids into Wallace Studios. So they have studio apartments of their own. This isn't a group home. This isn't, Section 8.
Right.
This is their own real apartment. And, I was there when we were moving the kids in, and I was carrying stuff up to the room for one of the girls, and she just breaks down crying. And she hugs me and she says, "I've never had anything this nice before." That's the kind of impacts that we want.
Very cool.
Well, if someone is interested in doing the Cannonball Run, what should they do in that case?
They need to pray. That's what they need to do. Don't incriminate. Don't say a word. You don't have to say anything. They could donate to I Am Next and see what happens.
If he's really interested, we are not hard to find.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Well, Chris,
what did you get us into, Steve? What did you get us into?
Chris, it has been a pleasure. It's been a very enlightening conversation.
Yes, it has.
And with that, we will see you guys next time. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Behind the Curtain, Nashville's Movers, Shakers.
And taste makers.
We hope you've been inspired by the stories of passion, perseverance, and innovation right here in Nashville.
A big thank you to our guests for sharing their journeys and to you, our listeners, for joining us. And of course, our gratitude to Accord Real Estate for making this conversation possible.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform.
Thank us.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I guess I did. Well, thank us. Okay.
Like I was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite platform to catch every episode and hit that notification bell. We've got plenty more fascinating guests lined up, ready to share their insights and inspirations.
And we love hearing from you. So reach out to us with your thoughts, questions, or suggestions for who you'd like to hear from next.
Until next time, keep chasing your dreams and making your mark in Nashville.
Oh, my goodness.
Remember,
I'm talking to Casey
it's
Kasem.
the people behind the scenes that make the city shine.
I love it. Take care. See you behind the curtain.